Well, President Cyril Ramaphosa was back in Parliament for a debate on his budget speech. Yesterday, he addressed several issues, including the country's municipalities, land, and the crisis in the northwest. eNCA's Lester Kiewit is at Parliament and joins me now. And so, Lester, somewhat a conciliatory tone from the president, but also not shying away from taking the fight to the opposition.
That's right, Tulas. Only 37 minutes was used by the president to conclusively deal with the critique of his 100 or so days in the presidency. On Saturday, the president marks 100 days since taking the oath of office. He's used this opportunity to respond to political parties who yesterday debated his presidency budget, speak to hit back particularly at his upcoming political opponents in the upcoming general election. He responded to the DA's Mmusi Maimane and EFF's Julius Malema, calling them desperate in them trying to interpret his government as well as the ANC's policy, particularly when it pertains to the controversial land question. Here's what he had to say.
Madam Speaker, during the debate yesterday, both the Honourable Maimane and Honourable Malema introduced into this House a figure that is known as a straw man. The dictionary definition of a straw man is an intentionally misrepresented proposition that is set up because it is easier to defeat than an opponent's real argument. The Ramaphosa definition of a straw man is a fake policy conjured up by a desperate party in order to make a false claim. Both Honourable Maimane and Honourable Malema have sought to misrepresent the position of the ANC on the issue of expropriation of land. However, if you go through the resolutions of the ANC's 54th conference, its January 8th statement, the State of the Nation address, replies to questions in this House and recommendations of the ANC's recent land workshop, there is a clear and consistent thread. We will not be diverted from the path we are on. We will not shy away from engaging in debate. We will engage, we will consult, and we will seek to build consensus. But we will not compromise on our determination to resolve the land question in this country once and for all. You are therefore invited to join us in this effort to make sure that the decisions that are taken are decisions that are owned by the people of this country. The restoration of the land to the poor and dispossessed through a constitutionally mandated program of redress and reform is a revolutionary act. The illegal occupation of land is not. We must remind ourselves why we have a constitution and why we value the rule of law. It is to protect the poor and the vulnerable from the arbitrary exercise of power, to prevent a repeat of the abuses and the violations of the past. Our Constitution is an instrument of radical transformation.
So, Lester, the president has also been commenting on the sorry state of municipalities, especially after the Auditor General made some shocking findings on the state of local government. What did he have to say?
That's right. Yesterday, the Auditor General finding that up to 2/3 of South Africa's municipalities are in a sorry state, with up to 1/3 of municipalities on the brink of collapse. The President obviously noting this concern, as local government is the first access or service delivery to particularly to the poorest of the poor. The President saying that not only is this sorry state of municipalities affecting the delivery of services, but also the sorry state of how municipalities are generating revenue. Many of these troubled municipalities are in the most poorest areas of South Africa, so therefore it would stand to reason that these municipalities would have problems generating income through rates and taxes. The president is proposing a massive overhaul on how municipalities run, particularly how they generate revenue and also how they spend their budgets. This is all part of what could be a major overhaul of the state and how government operates. The president says with his Presidential Advisory Council wanting to make a leaner, more effective government, not only from national government but all the way through the provinces and then obviously to local government level. It's something that he desperately wants to look at. It does seem that he's biding his time through the last 11 or so months, through this year before we have general elections. It does seem as if he and his team are planning some sort of an overhaul of the way government operates, obviously at those sites of local government where, as I said, is the first site of delivery for South African citizens.
And then there were comments from the president on those who still wave the old South African flag and sing Distem. What did he mean by this?
One would say confusing remarks. One would understand that the waving of the old South African flag, a relic of the old apartheid government, Cyril Ramaphosa saying it is a reminder of the abuses and the misery of apartheid. But if we can look at the portion of Distem after a negotiated settlement, which Cyril Ramaphosa was a part of in the run-up to the 1994 general elections, the Distem is still part of the current South African national anthem. We do not know whether the president has changed his mind on whether the Distem should still be part of the national anthem of a democratic South Africa. This is something that we want to probe, we want to ask whether there are plans to amend the national anthem based on these comments by the president that Distem as well as waving of the old South African flag are simply relics of an old apartheid government. This was obviously also as a response to groups like AfriForum who have claimed that that apartheid was not a crime against humanity. The president during his remarks today reiterating that apartheid is and was a crime against humanity, that it affected the majority of predominantly black South Africans, and this is something that must be addressed, especially if the current government and South Africans are to unite to build a better South Africa, not only for the present but also for the future.
Hey, Lester Kiewit, thank you so much for that update, talking to us live from Parliament.